Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explain series. I am Kushagra Goyal. So having gone through the comment section yesterday, there is one recurring theme with regards to notes and the details that we put up here. Don't worry, I am going to make a detailed video with regards to how to make current affair notes, and we will put that up within a couple of days. Okay, so rest assured, we will be making a specific video just for you all on how to make notes for current affairs. So don't worry with regards to that. Now secondly, with regards to things that we say in the form of a PDF or something. So see, we are working on an apparatus because most of you are not in a common area, right? YouTube doesn't have, like, the viewers of the videos are not registered in any format. So we will have to work out a solution where it is a open based document. We are working on it, don't worry. See, nevertheless, the notes that I make here and the things I am saying are already very concise, okay? So what you can do is, once you have watched the note making video, you will know how to make those notes, and then you would not require notes from me. See, my notes would not be something of a magic solution that will get you. Your preparation is the thing that gets you through the examination, okay? During my preparation also for CLAT, even if the teachers were teaching, they never insisted on asking, like telling us that you take my notes. They asked us to ensure that you are making your own notes, understand it in your own manner. See, CLAT is a comprehension based test. Your brain matters, how you read things matter. So it is important that during your time of preparation, you are improving your comprehension skills, improving the ability to read things, improving your ability to listen to things. Okay, so mugging up notes from different sources is not going to help you. That is exactly the reason why this series is also unique, because we are doing it spontaneity, and that helps you with your comprehension skills. Okay, now with regards to one another question that a lot of students have had is with regards to the ROSHNI Act. Okay, for the past 1 and 2 weeks, the act has been in news. It is with regards to land distribution and land allocation. Okay, so I am going to cover it today. Don't worry, in-depth analysis of the ROSHNI Act from a CLAT perspective, I am going to do it today. Okay, now today is also the World AIDS Day. So it is important to raise awareness with regards to the AIDS disease and how it spreads, because we don't have a cure for it. So, and to reduce the stigma regarding it. And you know that UN Population Award has been given to the Queen of Bhutan this year for raising awareness with regards to sexual health and HIV/AIDS. So this year AIDS becomes an important topic because it is also in news with regards to awards, and it's a very prominent disease that is always in news. Now the question is, since when are we celebrating the World's AIDS Day on December 1? Okay, so this is the question for you all. I want you all to put it down in the comment section that since when are we celebrating this. Okay, now let's begin with today's newspaper. So the front headline is again the farmer talks. Now there is update that the government is willing to talk to the farmers without any conditions. First the condition was they have to move away. Now the government has receded from that point and has decided that they will talk to the farmers today. So whatever development happens with regards to that, we will be covering it tomorrow. Okay, on the right hand side is the heads of the countries from SCO meet. Okay, and Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has been heading it for India this year, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi has decided to give the meeting a skip. Now this entire summit, the only main theme that has been talked about is from India, that state sponsored terrorism is happening and we need to do something about it, and other countries are talking about collaboration for COVID-19. Nothing specific, as you know, 2 days ago I put it in the description of when we had discussed the SCO at depth. Okay, if you haven't watched it or you need revision, go check that out. Okay, now moving on, there is an all-party meet with regards to COVID preparation that will take place on Friday. We will talk about that. Yesterday was Guru Nanak Jayanti, so remembering the Guru 551st birth anniversary yesterday. Okay, anything on the national news? Again, there is more with regards to water cannons, 3,000 policemen to stop farmers from entering the capital. Farmers are also Indian. They under Article 19 they have the right to protest, but the government is saying you can't protest any and everywhere. Okay. Now, then there is a specific plea that has been entered in the Delhi High Court. This is a plea, nothing concrete, okay. So each year the government maintains the NCRB, National Crime Bureau. They prepare a database, Crime Records Bureau. They prepare a database specifically for the crimes that take place in the country and the prison status, okay. Now there is a plea in the High Court that we have to have a specific category of transgenders and third gender within the report. We can't put them in the binary of male and female. There are specific needs of such prisoners, and that is why the report for 2019 and 2020 should segregate them as separate. Okay. Now moving on, there nothing with regards to national news, again most political only. Okay. Then on the editorial front, okay. On the editorial front, on the left hand side, closer to punishment, more details emerge about Thakur Rana's role in 2611 attacks. So for the past 2 days, we have been discussing his contribution and his statements with regards to 2611 attack, and we are trying to extradite him. So this is an editorial stating that entire thing that we have been discussing for the past 2 days. It becomes relevant for us in the sense of his name becomes relevant. The 2611 attacks are anyway relevant. And Ajmal Kasab, as you know, David Headley, former US employee, then the organization he was part of, Lashkar-e-Taiba. So all that becomes relevant, especially in the sense of Financial Action Task Force also, because we are trying to get Pakistan blacklisted. Okay. Now on the left hand side, winter worries, targeted containment of COVID-19 can work, but there is no room for complacency, in the sense that, see, India has tided over the first wave of the coronavirus. It's what is established, but record and experience from other countries show us that complacency can lead to more disaster. So for example, now in US and Europe, the second wave of the coronavirus is deadlier than the first wave. More people are getting affected, more mortalities are being reported, more people need more intensive care, and that is why there are lockdowns have come back in Western Europe and America. So we need to keep an eye on, and why, even if now we have become a little bit more relaxed, there is no room for complacency with regards to protection from the COVID-19. Okay. Now on the main front, okay, the perils of deregulated imperfect agri markets. Now this is with regards to the Farmer Act only. Okay. This main editorial discusses one specific regards where the APMC mandis will be deregularized. That means farmers can go and sell their products anywhere else. From tomorrow onwards, there are 3 farmer bills and 1 electricity bill. Each day I will be covering each of those legislations from tomorrow onwards. And then on the weekend, we'll do a summary of this entire dispute. Hopefully by then we will have more updates with regards to the protest also. So I have been delaying it because the protests have been happening, but now that there is scope for talks happening and the issue has become more streamlined in the sense there is more details, we will start covering it from tomorrow onwards. Okay. So I will explain this editorial tomorrow. Don't worry. It is just an explanation of what are the concerns of the farmers with regards to the APMC system. What is the APMC system? What it does? In short, APMC are specific mandis that are regulated by the government. Farmers can come and sell their produce. There is a certain amount of tax that is levied by the state on the sellers and the people who purchase produce from there. Plus, the mandis are also a mechanism where price is set and there is procurement of the minimum support price goods. So it is the place where you buy the products. Okay, the things that we buy from, let's say, our local store or shopkeeper, vegetable seller, that produce probably would have been sold at a mandi of APMC before that. Okay. Now this is an analysis of how the mandi system can be improved rather than deregulating it completely. See, this term deregulated is with regards to government control or not control. Imperfect agri market is a market. So this is a competition law term, imperfect. Perfect competition, imperfect competition, agri market is the specific market, and this is the term that is with regards to imperfect. Okay. In simple words, imperfect means that not everyone is equal. There are certain discrepancies. People who are buyers are also not same, and the sellers are also not on the same level. So the market is not 100% efficient. Okay, that is a simple term, nothing with regards to your CLAT examination. Okay, so moving on. Now, a misguided policy that cuts deep into patient safety. This is again with regards to the Ayurvedic versus allopathic surgeries. Again, analysis saying how surgeries with regards to human knowledge, a surgeon in allopathy takes years observing his seniors and then learns the craft. Ayurvedic surgeons don't have any of such experience, which could lead to damaging effect. Moving on, there is one editorial that we'll be discussing with regards to RTI today on the left hand side. On the right hand side is recalibrating India-Nepal ties. It is stating that how India has always seen Nepal as a country where if we push more and more money, Nepal will become closer to us. This article states that, see, that could not be the case, and that there is a reason why there is some amount of tension between India and Nepal, because we look at Nepal as a place where we are doing charity rather than uplifting them and seeing them as equals. So that is the concern with regards to this, nothing from CLAT perspective relevance. Okay. Moving forward in base areas, there are many advantages in deploying additional security forces in Chhattisgarh to tackle Maoists. Again, with regards to Maoist crisis in Chhattisgarh, this is an analysis of how we can improve the situation, not relevant from CLAT perspective. Now, yesterday we had discussed a specific number with regards to the economy, okay. There was one question with regards to this, that are these details important, how much government expenditure has spent. I believe that, see, specific quarterly reports of expenditure are not relevant. One, there is no specific methodology to give you a concise figure. What becomes relevant are specific policies. So, for example, production linked policies, total expenditure of the Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0 package, those kinds of numbers become relevant. Number of sectors that are there under the production linked scheme, those become relevant, not specific numbers. Okay, is India what is the stature ranking of India with regards to economies that have contracted? Maybe that number, but that number only becomes when all the quarter reports are out. Intermediate quarter reports I don't think are relevant from CLAT perspective, so don't worry about mugging them up. Okay, now moving on, again on the national front, nothing specific for us. There is one interesting news that treasure hunters strike it rich in the Udapa coast in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, apparently post the rains on the beaches here in Udapa, people are finding gold ornaments, gold, human digged gold or metallized gold in the form of jewelry or any other form, and then a gold rush is happening. The reason why it is probably stated that there was a temple, the Matsya Linga temple, which existed on the shore. It got sunk because of a previous cyclone, and probably the jewels that were there are now surfacing on the shore. So this is an interesting story just for a nice read. Okay, gold rush happening in the country at specific places. Now moving on the national front, again nothing specific for us. There is this update with regards to Rajya Sabha audio feed hit during farm bill debate. Now there was a huge controversy when the farm bills were passed in the Rajya Sabha. When the opposition called for a vote and they were trying to speak against it, the mics went dry. That no one was able to hear one another because the mics stopped working exactly during the time when the farm bills were being debated, and then they were passed. Because no one was able to speak or no one was being heard, the speaker in the house decided that, see, there is no opposition and let's pass the bill. So there was a lot of hue and cry controversy. Now there is clarification by the Central Public Works Department that, see, for this specific time the audio system was not working. Now again, there is other specific news, political news, other updates not relevant from CLAT perspective. This news, UP conversion ordinance challenges Supreme Court orders. We'll be discussing this in a little bit more depth. Now, effective information sharing crucial for FATF. Under FATF, there are other organizations also that share information. Okay, now this is a joint statement. They have stated they're discussing more details, nothing from CLAT perspective relevance. Okay, that is why we are not discussing. Just because it's by an international agency, not every news from them also becomes relevant for you all. Moving on, Again, on the sporting front and international front, there is nothing specific. There is speculation that Neera Tandon, an Indian American, would be appointed Director of Office of Management and Budget, highest position in the White House, core position in the White House administration with regards to funding of schemes. Indian American there. So that is a news that we could keep an eye on once it is confirmed. Okay. We'll discuss the Biden administration once they actually take charge, which would happen in January 20th, okay? So till then, there are speculations who is getting appointed, who is doing what. Once all this is concrete, I believe that we should only look at it then and not before, because till then it is just going to confuse you all, okay? Now, Moderna is to seek US and EU vaccination authorization, which is a good news. Now that efficacy with regards to the Moderna vaccine is out, they are trying to get emergency use and start distributing it. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, okay? Moderna, as you know, is based on mRNA. We have been discussing it a long time. The shelf life of the Moderna vaccine is better than the Pfizer vaccine. So that is a news that we have to keep an eye whether they get emergency approval. If emergency approval is given, that means the standard of security of vaccine is high and it is safe for general population to receive it, okay? Now on the economic front, again nothing specific, and on the sporting front again also nothing specific for us. So let's dive in. With regards to the op-ed on the left hand side, is persons address public information. Now there was a case, there is a controversy with regards to a RTI application filed by Shailash Gandhi. He was an information commissioner. There is a case of Avikesh Goenka versus Ashish Kumar Roy in 2013. Now in this case, the controversy is with regards to RTI section 8, okay? Under RTI section 8, information that is supposed to be generally to be given under RTI is not given if it is private information, specific private information, okay? Now the question is the address and the phone number of a person private information? Generally you would think that why is my phone number or my address relevant, right? In the sense that it is definitely personal information. Where I live is a private matter. I don't want to give it to public. But if it is for a public authority, let's say where the Prime Minister of India resides, or where, for example, the Chief Justice of India. So public spaces, public offices, in those spaces, can you make the address of people public? Now, you know that nowadays there are less and less government officials who are given government accommodation. So previously it used to happen prior to 1990s that most of the government employees were situated or residing at the specific places given to them by the department. So it was easier to locate individuals then. But now less and less more public spaces are open, public employees reside at their private residences also. So then that also becomes private place where their other family members are also residing, right? So is that now a matter of public importance, or should that be disclosed in the RTI information? Now with regards to previously, see, address and phone numbers are not something that has always remained private. Previously, when we used to have yellow books, yellow pages, if you guys are not aware, they were books in which phone numbers, phone directories basically, where phone numbers plus the address and the name of that person used to be listed. So if you want to ring up someone, you used to look up their numbers. It's just like a dictionary with phone number and addresses. So it was always public. All phone numbers in the country were public there, okay? Then addresses and names are also public, for example, with people when on judgments. If, for example, it's a petitioner or a respondent or an appellant, so their details are again in the public domain. Now, that is why the question comes that, see, if the information can generally be found through other means, then is it worth protecting it under section 8? That is the entire question, okay? In this case that happened, this person, RTI activist, stated that, see, I don't want to disclose my personal address because of my security. I will only disclose the post office number. So each city, each locality is given a specific post office number. So this editorial advocates that, see, RTI activists, for their protection, should be encouraged to only use their post office's number and not their actual address. That would give them some amount of protection, because hundreds of people would be living on the same postal office number. Okay, then on with regards to disclosing it at other measures, if it is a information that is private, then in other dominions such as judgments, such as public websites, those information should then not be revealed. For example, you can also attain someone's address and details by going to the municipal office. So the editorial states that if we have to protect people, we have to protect the information from other dominions. It cannot happen that at one forum we say that it is private, but at other forums the information is freely available. Okay, moving on, then the judgment, the question with regards to UP conversion ordinance challenging Supreme Court orders. This is again with regards to the love jihad ordinance that the UP government has passed recently. Okay, now there are 4 cases that this editorial talks about. It is more or less the same thing that we have been discussing, but I'll just state those cases for you. Some of these cases are really relevant for you all, probably in the sense of your legal awareness. Okay, you know that in CLAT 2020 a specific question from a judgment came, a paragraph of the judgment was discussed. That is why the principles of judgments and their name also become relevant, so that you are not caught off guard, unaware when certain things come. Okay, so there are 4 cases advocating basically the same thing. Okay, what is the love jihad law? The love jihad law says that if you believe, for example, A and B are getting married, I am a related party. Let's say A is a Hindu and B is a Muslim. I believe this marriage should not take place. I am a cousin brother. I will go and tell the police that, see, this is a marriage that is taking place. Investigate it. This is probably forced conversion. This is not up to the societal standard. Morally, this is not correct. They are doing religion conversion only for the sake of marriage, and whatever. I could say whatever, and then the state will go and investigate this. Okay, now there are 4 specific judgments that the court have discussed. One of that is something we have discussed in depth multiple times, which is the case of Shafeen Jahan versus Ashokan KM. I had discussed 2 important judgments within that main judgment, also elucidated that. If you haven't read it, do check that out previously. Okay, now there was another case, Lata Singh versus state of Uttar Pradesh, 2006 case. One major principle cut off. In this case, what had happened, one of the relative, the cousin brother, he went and beated up both the families of the groom and the bride, burnt their houses, and stated that, see, because I was not okay with your marriage and I believe this is wrong, I went and did that. The court stated that the only thing people can do is you can cut off ties from those people, but you have no authority to actually go and tell people or stop them. If you are unhappy with something, don't talk to them. Okay, in the Shafeen Jahan case, as we know, the court had stated that, see, the state and the courts, both of them have no business being in private affairs. Marriage is a private affair. Who marries whom, adults whenever they marry, which individual, what religion, what age, what caste they marry into is not a matter of state discussion. It is not relevant for the state. State has other things to do. For example, in Uttar Pradesh, the crime is so high, but what are they interested is in this? Okay, so this is exactly the kind of thing the court had stated in this case, that, see, state has no business in private affairs. Okay, then there was another case, Sony Gary versus Gary Douglas. In this case, it was stated that the state and the courts should not try to act as super guardians telling the children that, see, this is incorrect for you, this person could be correct, this is incorrect. All these are moral deliberations that the state and the court should not be doing. Okay, and then the case of Justice Puttaswamy versus Union of India, where it was held that right to privacy is a constitutional fundamental right. In this, it stated that, see, such actions by the state create a chilling effect, and therefore such actions should not be done. They are unconstitutional. Actions that create a chilling effect are wrong. State should not be doing it, because that is a violation of fundamental rights. So more or less, this entire narrative that is taking place, it is held more and more by more and more high courts and supreme courts, that state or the police, the executives, The courts have no business deciding who is capable or eligible to marry whom. People are free to marry whosoever, because in a fundamental constitutional democracy, people have fundamental rights and they are free to decide who they want to marry. Only question is that what the courts can see when or seek protection when someone was forcefully married. They did not have their will. And by free will, I mean the two people who got married, not the free will like the will of the father or the will of the mother of the family. That is not relevant. The will of the individuals who actually got married. Were they free to decide? Did they freely decide to get married? That is what the law has been all about, okay? Now, whether it is constitutionally upheld by the high courts is something we'll have to see, okay? Moving on, now I will be discussing the ROSHNI Act, something that has been in news for a long time. I have curated some news previously that had taken place. This is not from today's newspaper, okay? This is for you all to understand this dispute now that the story is complete. Now, what is the ROSHNI Act, okay? Jammu and Kashmir State Land Vesting of Ownership to Occupants Act 2001, passed in 2001 by the government of National Conference and Bharatiya Janata Party. What was this act? What did it do? 20 lakh canals, that a canal is 1/8 of an acre, okay, was regularized. So what had happened till 1990, there is state land. Every land in India is a state land. You buy the land from the state or you take the land on lease from the state. So there were encroachments. People had encroached upon forest land, fallow land, land which belonged to the state. This act stated that, see, okay, if you have done this till 1990, if you did this, we will regularize this land. We will give you the ownership of this land if you pay us, okay? What was the intent? To earn to 25,000 crores. What will this do? To create electricity infra. That is why it is known as ROSHNI Act. In the name you can't see Roshni here, right? Because the intention was to raise money to create electricity infra. Remember 2001 hydroelectricity, interlinking of rivers by Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was in prime. So he had started to, the government decided we will use the money we generate to do this in the state of Jammu and Kashmir also. 1990 was the cutoff date. Now I'll give you a little bit of brief history, okay? Some principal understanding of two terms. One is land redistribution. The other is land regularization. What is redistribution? Redistribution is someone already has a lot of land. You take some of it and redistribute it. So state has all the land, right? But when we got independence, most of the land that was already being used for agriculture was also held by zamindars or princes, kings. So then the term of land redistribution was founded, okay? That we will take the land from zamindars and kings and give it to the real agricultural tillers. Because till then what was happening, and happens even now, that there are big landowners, they don't work on it, they give it to agricultural laborers who actually do agricultural farming. They are the real farmers but have no ownership. So what does redistribution do? Take the land from the rich and give it to poor, or use the fallow land for cultivation. Basically, redistribution also means that you reuse the land in a different way. Then what is regularization? Regularization is something that is already happening, but the state has not recognized that activity to take place on the land, okay? So for example, a land is supposed to be agriculture, but now people have started, construction workers are living there. So it has now become a residential land, but see, all land is state land, okay? So until state undertakes an action, it is always considered in a certain manner. So what is regularization's purpose? Regularization's purpose is recognizing what the land is now being used for. Maybe 400 years ago, the land was used for cultivation. 1,000 years ago, most of Uttar Pradesh was forest. But do we say that now, well, let's remove everyone from forest, because originally it was forest land. So 50,000 tigers used to move around on the current land of Uttar Pradesh, but we don't do it. That is exactly what we mean. Land regularization. Regularize in the sense of who is using the land now, okay? So that is to reduce eviction cost. See, people, once they start living, invest a lot of their hard work, hard earned money to build houses, and also develop a sense of belongingness with the land, right? So eviction not only creates cost in the sense of removing people, so to hire a JCB or any individual company that will remove these people, then state will have to find out what to do with these people. So regularization is a methodology that is used regularly. Slums in Delhi, slums anywhere in the country, residential areas that are regularly regularized to create new colonies, new cities. So that is a methodology of land regularizing. But what is common to both these things are increase the ownership and reduce tenancy. क्या होता है कि when people are either agricultural workers or slum, they don't own the land. When you can't own the land, you can't use the land as mortgage, and any and every, there is always a fear that you can be removed from the land. So the purpose is to increase ownership and tenants and reduce tenancy. Give the ownership to the people. They give them the authority that this land belongs to you. It empowers people. So for example, there is concern most of the land in India is only registered in the name of male. Ask yourself at your households how many land resources are actually registered in the name of your mothers or sisters, and then you would realize the problem of ownership and tenancy. Okay, and then enhance land use or land value. So if a land is just there lying fallow, no use, okay, but if it, let's say it is now built for agriculture, better use. Now you develop a school on it, college on it, better use, right? Reusing the land for better use. These are the two concepts. What happened at the ROSHNI Act? Okay, this land was either forest land or fallow land. Okay, in 2001, the BJP NC government decided 1990 as the cutoff date. Then in 2004, the PDP and Congress government said, Ki, what about the people who took the land from 1991 to 2004? So we will extend this deadline, the cutoff date, to 2004. Anyone who has taken encroached upon the land till 2004 can take it. Congress government comes 2007, says ki okay, we'll extend it till 2007, but give the agricultural land, land that is now being used for agriculture for free. We will not take money for it because see, agriculture farmers are giving back to the country, so we will not take money from it. Then in 2014, a CAG report, Controller and Auditor General, produced a report in the Parliament on 13th March and stated that see, this act has been a rip-off. The aim was 25,000 crore, only 76 crore have been returned. That means that the act has failed in its purpose and should be removed. Plus, we should prosecute under corruption charges the officers that ensured or because of whom the state was rip-off of the value of this land. Okay. Then on 9th October this year, in the case of SK Bhalla versus Jammu and Kashmir, the Jammu and Kashmir High Court held the act as unconstitutional and null and void. That means that see, in this land, why is this unconstitutional? On the principle of Article 14 and 21. Because encroachment was not, people were not given land with an equal chance. Not everyone was equal with regards to getting the ownership of the land. Everyone was not given an equal opportunity. And this is unfair for others. That is why it violates Article 14. Okay. Then moving on. What did the court held? Okay. With regards to using two principles, constitutional principles. First, in the case of Sachinandan Pandey versus State of West Bengal, that public property is held in public trust by the state. That the state is a trustee. They own the property but in the format of trust. Okay, they cannot do whatever they want with it, like absolute executive discretion नहीं हो सकता, कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते वो लोग. Plus public interest होना चाहिए कि if for example you wanted to give it to agriculture, you want to use the land for agriculture, give everyone an equal chance to do it. Or if you want to establish industries over it, increase land usage, then give everyone an equal chance for it. Okay, don't apply favoritism and nepotism. Okay, and the second thing is, under the case of Center for Public Interest Litigation versus Union of India, state can distribute. You have the right to distribute land, but by constitutional principles. What are the constitutional principles? Equality and larger public good. So the crux of the matter was, ROSHNI Act okay, you can recognize people who have encroached on public land. That is fine. You have the authority to do it. But the nature of doing it plus continuously extending the cutoff date means that you are not true to your interest, plus it is giving favoritism. People who have done it, people who had the power to grab land, grabbed it, but others were left out of it. So the purpose of redistributing was not fulfilled, purpose of generating funds was not fulfilled, and so the act was held unconstitutional. Okay, so now what is happening? The court and the government administration, the union territory, has now decided we will take back all the land. Land that belonged to the states till 1990 will now go back. So in 6 months, things that were done over 30 years, that land will now be taken back. 20 lakh canals, basically 75,000 acres of land has to be taken back. But the caveat is, the cut is, people also have a right to question the claim. They can go and appeal. They can say, oh, how are you saying that I was not there on this land before 1990? I was there. They will file appeal. So this process of 6 months seems arduous, because people who have encroached, who had the power to encroach, who had the power to influence politics since then, also will have money to file appeals and slow down the process, right? Then second, name of people to be publicly disclosed. So this is what is in news, right? Name of politicians, name of bureaucrats, name of other police officers, army officers who have grabbed land in the name of ROSHNI are to be publicly disclosed, to be told to everyone that, see, they took up your land and didn't give us money for it, right? And then action against officers of Jammu and Kashmir and standing committee members, officers who were in charge, people who did it. This is a question mark, okay? There is no real action that is actually being taken place. In 2014, this was known, but only after the High Court declared it, the government has actually acted. So since 2014, this scam was known, officers were there, but the government refused to actually prosecute these bureaucrats or officers. So you know, it's the politics aside, it's just the state has been lackadaisical on all levels, okay, in this act. Now what is happening is that there is appeal in the Supreme Court against retrospective action. Now what is happening, the people who have been ripped off from the land have stated, we will go and file a appeal before the Supreme Court, because in 2019 you cannot question the actions of the government that did it in 2001 or 1990. You can't do it, because then what would happen, every time a new government will come, they will remove the people who have been on the land previously. And secondly, it is a violation of principle of natural justice. We were not given a right to be heard. When the High Court decided whether the act was constitutional or not, whether it violated Article 14 or not, people who actually got the land were never heard. So they are now filing an appeal. This is the story of the ROSHNI Act, okay? This is what this act is all about. Ki, what is the act, what it does. Now what is relevant from CLAT perspective? See, all these terms are heavy, but the things that are relevant are the principles, that constitutionally it has to be equal. What is the onus of the state and the duty of the state when it redistributes? Only those things matter for you all, okay? And that is it. If you have any doubts with regards to anything here, feel free to put that down in the comment section and I will address it tomorrow, okay? Don't worry. And from tomorrow onwards, we will be discussing the farm bill. So stay tuned for that and don't miss the update, okay? And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and share it further for others to see. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to it and hit the bell icon. So thank you so much. Keep watching.